Our final video on tweening involves the motion tween. Somewhat harder to get your head around, but once you do master this, it is one you'll probably use more regularly. As mentioned in my last video, you saw here that I could have new layers or different layers, and I can actually rename my layers too. So the way I've done that is just by clicking on New Layer, which is in the top bottom left corner, and then I can just click on the word Layer 3, for example, and write the word Leaf 2. Now there's a few things I'm going to do. First thing I'm going to do is go to my background layer, and I want to import an image that I'd already got to the library. Now this image is a background, so it's a nice, there it is, sorry, it's just a nice sort of leafy, sort of pleasant sort of forest background. Now click and drag that. Now I can tell already that it's going to be really, really big, so I'm going to have to resize that. So again, I can zoom out just by pressing Control minus, grab my scale tool, which it's already on, hold shift, and just bring that back in to the confines of my my stage here. Now, stretching it out, doing the same thing on the top. Okay, Control plus will just zoom me back in. Now, this is only a background. I don't need to do anything with it. So all I'm going to do, see you've got a lock button here. I'm just going to lock that layer, which means I can't actually move it. I can't do anything to it. Because I've done that, I do not need to create a symbol or convert it to a symbol. What I've done to speed up the process is found an image of a leaf that I'm going to use. So basically what I'm going to make is an animation of some leaves that are sort of falling in different sort of haphazard patterns down the screen. Okay, so in Fireworks I'm going to do a few things. To make it look realistic, I need to remove the white space. Okay, so I do that by clicking on the magic wand, clicking on the white area, and pressing delete. Okay, you can see now that I've got a checkerboard sort of look, which means that it's transparent. I can get rid of the shadow if I would like to. You see, that'll take a little bit more time, and you may have to actually zoom in and rub things out and things like that. But basically, you're wanting it to look as realistic as possible. Now, considering the size of my canvas, this leaf is much too big. So I'm going to click on the leaf and then click on the scale tool. And remember, holding down shift, I'm going to bring it first of all to half its size, and then probably to half its size again. And as a matter of fact, I can bring it down even smaller. So you can see now that my leaf has shrunk down to significantly smaller than what it was, which adds to its realism. One thing that isn't realistic though is the canvas size of my leaf. It's huge. So if I just click in this grey space here, I can then select Fit Canvas, which means now I have a nice small file. I'm going to save it with a meaningful name. Fall Leaf Carlos Satano is not a meaningful name for me, so I'm going to call it Edited Leaf. What I do want to do though is call it a Fireworks PNG, because what would happen if I saved it purely as a JPEG? That white space that I just took away would come back. So you must save it as a PNG. Then I can close that down. Okay. I am now going to look at my first layer. I'm going to go into File, Import, to Library, and I want the edited leaf, which is here. The beautiful thing is, it's sitting there ready to go. I can use it again and again and again. But in order to do that, what I need to do first of all is drag it onto the canvas once. I'm going to start it above my background. I'm going to convert it to a symbol. I'm going to call it leaf_G, and I'm going to click OK. You'll notice now in my library there is a leaf underscore G, which means in my next layer I can just drag that through. So here we go. I am going to go to frame 50 in my background and press F6. We need the background to be there the whole time. I'm going to click on my leaf in that first layer, first frame. I'm going to right mouse click and create a motion tween. And you can see that it gives me a certain amount of frames here. So I'm going to just click and drag that to 50 as well. Now the beauty of this is, where you start your leaf from, obviously is where it starts from, then you can just click at random spots, I don't know, so maybe 13, and you can just move your leaf. And you'll notice that the motion path is depicted here by a purple line. About here, I'm going to maybe move it down to here as well. 45, I want it here, and then in the final frame, just move it off a little bit. Okay, so if I get rid of my background just from view, you see that it's a rather jagged path. So if I play that, it doesn't look realistic yet. But what I can do, clicking on the second mouse tool, no, I'll tell a lie, the first mouse tool, I can actually curve these lines. And you see as I get closer, the mouse cursor changes. So I can actually just click and curve those lines a little bit, just to make it a little bit more realistic. So it's starting to look better already. The only thing is now though, leaves don't just fall flat. So what I do is I click back on my motion points. I'm going to use my free transform tool, and I'm going to have some fun. So in this point, I'm going to flip it. On this point here, sorry, hang on. This point here, I'm going to rotate it. And on that second last point there, I'm going to flip it vertically. So watching it now, if I go up to the top, you can see it's starting to look a little bit more like a leaf. If I view my background now, press Control Enter to publish it, you can see, although it's a little bit quick, it's actually starting to look like a leaf. So I could have extended that. What I can do if I like is change my frame rate down to 12 frames per second. We'll see what it looks like now. Okay, so not so great because we've slowed it down. So we'll put it up to 24 again. But what I'll do with my second leaf is try and make it a little bit more realistic. So I go into leaf 2. I can just grab my symbol. Sorry, frame 1, leaf 2. Grab my symbol, drag it in. It's already a symbol, I don't need to create another symbol. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do right mouse click and do create a motion tween. Drag it out to 50. So if I wanted to, I'm going to go, I don't know, maybe to about 22, 23. Drag it just to here. And then on my second to last slide, drag it off the screen. Okay, I will hide that background again just to make it easier to see. Curve the lines a little. And in my middle one here, I'm going to flip it. Okay, so you can see in that frame there, let's flip it upside down. Okay. So playing my whole thing now, you can see that it's starting to look a little bit more like an autumn sort of day. Obviously, the more leaves you have, the better. And the more realistic you can get the movement, the better as well.